So, Robby, what's on your radar?
On November 2nd, just under 2 weeks from now, Virginians will pick their next governor. They will either elect Terry McAuliffe, a Democrat who previously served as governor from 2014 until 2018, or Glenn Youngkin, a Republican and businessman. Historically, Virginia has been a red state, but various events have made it more reliably blue in recent election cycles. Most notably, the growth of the federal government is a significant factor in Democrats' favor, since the vast federal bureaucracy concentrated in Washington, D.C. is disproportionately staffed by Democrats. And many federal employees live on the other side of the Potomac in the Virginia suburbs of Arlington and Alexandria. Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama all won the state when they ran for president. And Virginians have consistently chosen Democrats for their governors and senators all decade. But this year, the Republican challenger has a shot. It is polling within a few points of McAuliffe. The Democrat is still favored, and if Youngkin wins, it would constitute a massive upset. But Biden's dismal poll numbers have helped put victory in Youngkin's reach. But Biden isn't the only thing hurting McAuliffe. The former governor was damaged by statements that he made during a recent debate with Youngkin.
What we've seen over the course of the last 20 months is our school systems refusing to engage with parents. In fact, in Fairfax County this past week, we watched parents so upset because there was such sexually explicit material in the library they had never seen. It was shocking. And in fact, you vetoed the bill that would have informed parents that they were there. You believe school systems should tell children what to do. I believe parents should be in charge of their kids' education.
Mr. McAuliffe, 30 seconds.
So first of all, this shows how clueless Glenn Youngkin is. He doesn't understand what the laws were because he's never been involved here in helping Virginia. But it was not. The parents had the right to veto books, Glenn, not to be knowledgeable about it, also take them off the shelves. And I'm not going to let parents come into schools and actually take books out and make their own decision.
You vetoed it.
So, yeah, I stopped the bill that I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach.
Many parents no doubt disagree with the idea that they do not deserve say over what their children are learning in school. Youngkin was specifically echoing concerns from some parents that sexually explicit content had appeared in school libraries. But parents around the country have also expressed opposition to what is popularly termed critical race theory in the classroom. Parents feel more frustrated and powerless than ever, and are venting that frustration at school board meetings all over the U.S. Pandemic-mandated school closures threw parents for a loop, forcing them to take time off from work to arrange care for their kids and help them log on for school. Parents had very little say over this, and they were also exposed, in some cases for the first time, to school curriculum. Many did not like what they were seeing. But McAuliffe has taken the view that parents have to put up with whatever the Virginia school board decides. This doesn't sit well with many parents, and so Youngkin has obviously seized on the remark, making it a key part of his campaign. McAuliffe said this was unfair, but has not really made any attempt to set the record straight. Watch this.
So did you misspeak during that debate?
No, I was talking about what we need to do, bringing people together. We have the state boards, we have the election, we have the Board of Education, and we have the local school boards who are all involved in this process.
McAuliffe apparently cut that interview short and berated the reporter for not, quote, asking questions that 7 News viewers care about. That's according to the network. Yes, it's pretty clear that viewers do care what's going on in schools. After all, the Loudoun County School District in Virginia is currently embroiled in a sexual assault scandal. I talked about this story last week. A parent was arrested for protesting at a school board meeting. It later turned out that parent's daughter had allegedly been sexually assaulted in a school bathroom by a male student wearing a dress. Last night, my friend, the journalist Jesse Singal, did some additional digging and published an article that undermines the notion that the school and the police did nothing about the assault. It now looks like they did investigate almost immediately. That was a detail that some conservative media reporters got wrong. At the same time, Singal's story does not contradict the really important part, which is that police are investigating an alleged sexual assault about which district leaders expressed indifference and ignorance. What happens at school matters to most parents. It should not have caught Democrats by surprise that callously saying education policy is none of parents' business would be unpopular. Yet the mainstream media is even more shocked. The New York Times actually ran the following headline, quote, "The unlikely issue shaping the Virginia governor's race, schools." Unlikely? Really? How out of touch with real America do you have to be to find this unlikely? Now, I'm not a cheerleader for either party. Neither McAuliffe nor Youngkin closely reflect my views on a range of issues. But I do happen to think that families should ultimately get to make education decisions for themselves. Parents should not be able to dictate to schools what precisely they are allowed to teach, but they should enjoy the freedom and flexibility to enroll their kids in a school environment that reflects their values. That's the real answer to these high-stakes school culture wars. Instead of insisting everything be either mandated or banned, just give parents more choice and more control over their kids' education options. We know where McAuliffe stands on the general idea of school choice. When he was governor previously, he vetoed 3 different bills pertaining to this idea. So, Ryan, I think, this debate gets sometimes into the weeds when, of course, parents shouldn't be able to, enter the school and rip books off the library shelves. But at the same time, no, this is a democracy. The voters do get to set what the agenda is for the schools. Schools don't get to claim, no, you surrender your kids to us and you have no right, you have no say over what goes on here, and we're going to teach all these very divisive things that you really hate, and we're going to have all these procedures that you also hate, masks, etc., and you can't do anything about it. No, no, that's not how this should work.
How do you think this is going to end up playing out on Election Day? I
still expect McAuliffe to pull it out, but I think this was a really unforced error on his part, and he is now attached himself to what really is happening nationally, with a lot of parents venting their frustration at how schools are being run. They got to see during the pandemic. I think they had more insight because of that into exactly what the kids are learning in their classrooms, because the classrooms were virtual and the parents were there, and a lot of them don't like what they see. And McAuliffe has very inartfully, I think, put himself on the side of school boards that look pretty callous right now to me.
If McAuliffe ends up polarizing the electorate around this question of kind of mask mandates in schools and that sort of thing, does that play to his benefit because the blue Northern Virginia area is so kind of monoculturally supportive of this? I would be totally fine with no mask mandate for kids, and I am in the vast minority,
right? Yeah.
in the Washington D.C. area and suburbs. So if you are seen as the candidate that's fighting for those types of things, there could be an argument, and I'm sure he's done the polling on this, that yes, you have the angry people at the Board of Education meetings, but is he going for the other ones? Not to use the word silent majority.
Right. Run up the score among Team Blue.
Right, and also majority often implies correct, and I don't mean it in that way, but majority just in raw numbers, that there might actually be more people who are watching these school board meetings and be like, actually, I'm kind of cool with the mandates. Now, when it moves into the trans questions, that's a different question, obviously, than the mask mandate. So I don't know how that polarizes.
My guess is that all of the ardent go mask, pro-masking, pro-critical race theory, however you want to describe it, all those people were already ardently engaged in voting for McAuliffe, and the risk is that he's now going to turn out some independents or moderate or people who weren't paying that much attention but do care about what's going on in their kids' school, and now have an incentive to vote against him where they didn't have any incentive to participate in this process at all.
The Trump voter who, without Trump on the ballot, is going to stay home. Right. But now there's a culture war issue that they can go and weigh in on.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Same on the other side, though.
Yeah. And Trump turns out a lot of people on the other side. But for Trump, he turns out a lot of people on the other side, but they're all voters in California and New York, et cetera. Right. Doesn't matter if you just, popular vote doesn't matter.
Right. Although in Virginia it does.
In Virginia it does. Yes.
So we'll see. Anyway.
I'm looking forward to your radar coming up next.